They call it a calorie deficit. Your body calls it running on empty. I used to use a calorie tracker and keep myself in that magic deficit for months on end. Eventually, I would hit the dreaded wall, that stall that would happen without cheating, without making any mistakes. My weight would just stay stable, no more loss happening. Then I'd feel like a loser and just stop eating healthy altogether. What I didn't realize was that my body was protecting me. I want to explain exactly why that protection mode kicks in when we cut calories, the specific way I finally signaled my body that it was safe to let go of the fat, and the one adjustment I had to make in my 40s to make sure that the weight never came back. But to fix this all, we need to understand why following the standard rules is exactly what broke our metabolism in the first place. Please subscribe. When you start a keto diet, the first thing that happens is we lose a lot of water weight. And people are ecstatic because dropping 20 pounds is dropping 20 pounds. Like the scale says, I'm that much lighter. But what we don't understand is that that weight was dropped because carbohydrates, and they have the word hydrate in the name, cause us to hold on to water. So I went from 450 grams of carbs per day down to like 75. Of course, I was in the bathroom and I just let a lot of water out. Maybe some of it came out of my skin. Of course, we breathed some of it out. Like I was just letting go of water like crazy. That's not fat. What we actually want to do is tap into the fat that's on our body. So we want to lose fat mass, right? That's the weight we talk about when we say I want to lose weight. We're not talking about water weight, although shouldn't be there. When we stabilize, what we've done is we've moved from flushing water to the much harder task of unlocking the chemical shield that is around the fat that we're walking around with. The good news, though, is that it happens naturally. It happens actually quite easily. It's not hard to get it to happen, but we need to understand that the amount of fat that we will lose per week will not match the amount of water that we lost per week. Most people get this. And so you'll go months and because you were still losing, you are happy with that. So maybe we get 4 months in, 5 months in, maybe you get a year in before the weight loss starts to slow down. The problem is that as it starts to slow down, we get nervous. And if it actually stops, which mine did, somewhere in the middle of my weight loss journey, so maybe at like, I can't say 3 months, maybe, like somewhere in there, I just, no weight loss for a week and a half, 2 weeks. I can't remember how long it was, but it was, compared to the entirety of my weight loss, it was a good chunk of time. I want us all to understand that starving yourself is one of the fastest ways that we could ever do to start gaining weight again. And I know that that sounds counterintuitive, but here's the thing. When we hit a stall and then we start trying to force our body to do something different than what it's actually currently doing, like we're going to start bringing our calories down all of a sudden, even though the diet had been working perfectly fine. So keto or carnivore was working perfectly fine up to this point. We start bringing our calories down and we're going to force our body. We start exercising like maniacs. We are going to force our body to lose weight. And the problem is, as soon as I start forcing my body by bringing my calories down to a point where there's not enough energy coming in when it asks me for energy, all of a sudden I'm signaling to my body that, oh no, we're in some kind of food emergency. And it feels like it needs to hold on to the little bit of fat that's on it. Exactly the opposite of what we want. Because we did everything we were doing to try to get our body to let go of the fat. And now we're telling it to hold on to the fat. Because Wellness Warrior, no matter what you want to think that you can do, if you don't eat enough food, we are signaling to our body that it is time to hold on to the energy you do have because, oh no, I told her to go get something and nothing came in. And look how hard she's working though. She must be chasing animals. So let me just hold on to some energy for her until she catches one of those animals. We're not chasing animals. We're not. There's food in the fridge. So if we tell our body that we're running on empty, our body's going to behave like we are running on empty. Absolutely normal. Think about yourself. If you go to your bank account and realize, oh no, I've only got $1,000 left in the bank, do you go and buy Starbucks and like, go to movie nights and start planning a vacation? No, you don't do any of those things. If you only have $1,000 left in the bank and you don't know when you're gonna be able to put money back in there, you start taking very good care of the little bit of money that you have left. Energy is the currency of our body. If your body realizes that, hey, there's no money coming in, so there's no energy coming in, it's not just going to be spending like a crazy person. It's going to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Your body is acting as if we're in trouble because you're treating it like we're in trouble. You're telling it, hey, what you were doing is not right, what I'm doing. And Wellness Warrior, that's the mistake. We don't know what's better. Our body knows what's better. The harder you try to force the scale to go down by calorie counting and making sure that you don't go over this imaginary number, ignoring what your body is asking you for, the more your body is saying, we are in trouble. I can't keep repairing. I need to protect her or him. And therefore, I'm going to hold on to as much fat as possible. And we're in a stall. I want us all to understand that the scale pauses when there's deeper healing happening. Our body has the very difficult task of not only fueling but rebuilding us. Like, these two things have to happen at the same time. Since most of us are going to eat every day, then your body's looking for these windows of opportunity to build and repair you. That's part one. But here's part two. The energy that it takes to process food is quite intensive. And I want you to think about it like this. If this was a factory and we're talking about electricity, when your body is processing food, like 70% of the energy is going to processing food. And that little 30% is left to do all the other things that your body needs to do. And then when your body is trying to build and repair and do all that stuff, 70% is going to build and repair and whatever, and not to obviously processing food because you're no longer processing food. Here's the problem. If you eat, your body has to turn its attention to processing food. No choice, because food came in. So the repairs need to wait. It is so important for us to understand that. We are constantly eating. So if I'm eating all the time, my body is taking in stuff. Okay, it's going to stop and manage that. And then it's going to turn its attention to try to, right? It's going to turn its attention to try to build and repair. In a normal scenario where I'm eating a healthy keto or a healthy carnivore lifestyle and I get into a stall, what it really means is that the amount of energy my body is asking me for when I go out and get some stuff for it is what it needed to do what it's doing. And so I'm kind of balancing out. If I try to force my weight loss down, my body still wants to do repairs, but it needs also to deal with the fact that there's no energy coming in to do these repairs. And now it's going to abandon repairs because we are in crisis mode. Oh no, it's just in storage mode. Got to save more fat. Got to save more fat for a rainy day. Right? Oh my goodness, how long will it take her to get back some meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt so that we can be healthy again? Got to save more fat. Got it. Wellness Warrior, a stall is not a failure on your part. It's a shift in the biological priority of the body. Who do you think knows better the biological priority? This thing that built itself from, scratch and that has gotten us to this point in time, or us wanting to be thin? My body knows what it's doing, and I need to let it do what it knows. Let your body repair those organs, all the tissues. By me not fighting my body, Wellness Warrior, I want to show you something. There's no jiggle anymore. I used to have so much loose skin all over the place. Me just listening to my body. When I'm hungry, I eat. And when I'm not hungry, I don't. By listening to my body and not bringing in food when it didn't need it, but also bringing in food when it needed it, the loose skin is going away. Why? Because I allowed it to do the internal damage issues right? I had loose skin for years. And I was like, hey, you know what? The negative, I guess, of losing weight is that sometimes you got a little loose skin. I'd rather have loose skin than be overweight. So I was okay with that. And now I'm not overweight and I don't have the loose skin. Again, we need to understand that our body doesn't do things on our schedule, because I would have loved the loose skin to go first. Like, so the weight, then the loose skin. That would have been my preference of order. That's not how it went. It was the weight, and then it was internal, and then it was weight again, and then it was like internal, and that internal went on for years until finally now this loose skin is starting to tighten up. If we panic and quit the diet that's working, so keto and carnivore, to go back to the standard American diet rules of calorie restriction and exercise like a maniac that don't work. We all know they don't work. We did them for years. They don't work. If we go back to that silly nonsense, we are interrupting the healing that our body was doing, and we will regain weight. Because, by the way, when we go back to that silliness, chances are we're going to be hungry in between. And because we've gone back to that silliness, we're going to also probably be afraid to keep eating the healthy meat with the accompanying fat because, well, but the fat's helping me and we're worried about fat helping us to put on weight. That's not what's happening, right? But I will be gaining weight possibly too, because I'm not giving my body what it asked me for. And so that water retention will start happening because maybe there's more. So I'm allowing myself on that keto diet to eat more of the carbohydrate things and less of the protein and accompanying fat because I'm afraid of gaining weight. But the truth is, as soon as I start fighting with my body, weight loss out the window. Weight loss is about chemistry, Wellness Warrior. I can't force it. I need to make the right chemistry reaction happen in order for the right outcome to happen. This is a hormone story. And if you try to willpower your way across your hormones, you're not going to get what you want. You can't trick your hormones to making you lose weight. You've either eaten the right foods and insulin is working appropriately, or you've eaten things that have spiked your insulin and now we're in a problem. We think we're stalled because we aren't trying hard enough, but the body doesn't care about effort. It cares about the chemical instructions that it gets from the food we eat that then triggers the hormones that will then tell our body what to do next. This is what came in. This is what we need to do next. So when insulin is present, fat burning is chemically not happening. No matter how low your calories are going to go, if the insulin amount is high enough, you are putting that food, whatever you've eaten, in storage. So this is where I go back to this idea that if you eat a nice juicy steak with the fat on it and it's all looking amazing, but then the carbohydrates on your plate are too high, storing all of that. We lived this story for years. Before we learned any of this information about keto and carnivore, we were eating standard diets. I'm standard Canadian. Some of you are standard Canadian, standard American, standard German, wherever you are watching this video from, you were eating the standard diet, which had, when you were doing, your fun meal, is it fun meals? When you were doing meals where you were splurging, where you're going to have a lot of fat and protein, but you're also going to have a lot of carbohydrate. And we don't recognize that that is a recipe for disaster. Our body will look at all that carbohydrate coming in, whether it's from bread or it's from rice or it's from the couscous that is so super healthy or whatever else it is that you're eating, beans and toast, doesn't matter. Those carbohydrates come in, and even if it comes in with some nice delicious meat, my body is in storage mode because my carbohydrates were high, and so therefore my insulin was high. We cannot out-discipline a fat cell into not storing the fat, right? Like if insulin tells that fat cell to take that sugar in there and like store it away, or those toxins that came in, that's another thing that happens, that when you eat plants, so fruits and vegetables, toxins come in. And when your body says, no, put that in fat storage, Our discipline of being at the gym will not stop that from happening. Your body is not the enemy. The high carb dinner or snack that you have is the enemy. Unfortunately, with these influencers out there telling us that you can put things back and you don't have to be so strict, I don't see it being strict, eating healthy. Why don't I see that being strict? When I was a little kid, my parents gave me the rules. And the rule said, for example, you don't lie. Do I think being honest is strict? No, I think it's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I was taught. My parents told me that you're supposed to pay for stuff when you go to the store. Do I think paying for what I have is strict? No, I think it's appropriate. I make money. I use my money to buy what I want. Why is it that when you eat healthy, that's being strict? It's not. But this is the story that we're told to allow us to eat off plan, which then hurts our body and benefits somebody. I can guarantee you the person that was benefiting when I was overweight and in pain was not me. Was I eating the fun food? Sure. Was I having fun? Not at all. I didn't like my body being in that state because I was in pain all the time, because I couldn't dress the way I wanted to dress, because I couldn't do the things I wanted to do without being exhausted, because I had skin issues, because I had all kinds of no. And what was brewing internally, I didn't even know. Was I a happy person? No. We walk around with these smiles, but are we actually happy? Most of us are not. So when we see these influencers saying that you can have these things, or encouraging us to make these keto replacement things, bringing back cheese and nuts and whatever if we're carnivore, or if we are keto, like, well, you can have a sandwich once in a while because your kid made you a sandwich. I heard a doctor say that one point. Oh my goodness, that made me so angry. If my kid made me a sandwich, I would eat it because my kid made it. No. How about tell your kid, I don't eat that, sweetheart, right? Because it's not healthy. Because what I want is for my little kid to actually know what's healthy and what's not. And if they're that young that I'm afraid to hurt their feelings because they made me a sandwich, maybe I should be making their food and helping them to understand not to eat the sandwich. There is no reason for any of us who have children who are still at an age where we are that concerned about telling them, no, thank you, I can't eat that. There is no reason that we aren't teaching them what's appropriate to eat when we know it, when we figured it out, especially when you're a doctor online teaching us how to do it. You should be teaching your kid that's not food. Right? Bread is not something that they should be. So again, I'm going off topic here. I don't want to go into a rant right now. I'm trying to help you guys to see that bringing back these foods. So foods that you've put down, if you bring them back, you're harming yourself because you put them down for a reason. Which brings me to another thought I want to just share with you here for a second. Do not rush yourself to be from standard diet to carnivore. We all need to understand this very important principle. It's one thing to be eating a standard diet because I don't know better. My body is being built on this standard diet and it's suffering for however yours is suffering. Mine suffered with joint pain and overweight and skin issues and brain fog and tinnitus. And I mean, the list of things large that I suffered with because I didn't know. But when I moved from standard diet to keto, I made that move with an understanding once I saw that I went through withdrawal and realized that I was not in control of what I was eating, because you can't go through withdrawal if you're in control, right? So I realized I'm not in control of what I'm eating. Once I understood that, what that allowed me to do, Wellness Warrior, was to decide standard diet. So whatever I've removed won't come back to my life because I feel amazing eating this way. And if I want to stay feeling amazing, I understood I will keep eating this way. So the transition for me from keto to carnivore did not happen overnight. The transition for me from keto to carnivore happened 5 years later. Yeah. So I didn't just one day get up and say, oh, I'm going to do carnivore now. And no, I thought about it. I gathered data. I made sure. Now, I want to point something else out. Before I went carnivore, I had transitioned from normal keto low, under 20, well, under 18 for me, because 18 was actually my number, under 18 grams of carbs per day, to I was barely getting like 2 meals a week that were under 10 grams of carbs a day. Why? Because as I progressed, I noticed that there were certain things that if I ate them, did not do well with me. Wellness warrior, it is important for us to understand that as your body does better and you see things, you now have a decision to make. Am I going to lean into what helps my body to feel better? Or am I going to long after the things I used to eat? I'm encouraging you, lean in to the things that help you to feel better, because you feel better. Life is amazing when you feel good. It's frustrating, it's annoying, it's sometimes really hard to live when you are feeling sick and in pain all the time. And I was there. I was sick and in pain all the time. I walked around from the age of 23 to 46 with joint pains every single day. And by the time I hit 46 and the hip pain hit me, I was crying daily. I was very happy to put that pain down. But I know not everybody has my situation, right? Violet syndrome is specific to me, right? You don't have the rashes that I had with a dermatologist telling you, yeah, you got to learn to you got to just get used to it and figure it out. They were open sores. Get used to it. They're not going anywhere. Open sore. Wellness warrior, do we understand when you do better and then you try to bring back a food, guess what your body does? It gives you back the problem that you had. I'm encouraging you, don't do that to yourself. To take your time transitioning, because understand that if you go from keto to carnivore and you are there for more than a year, when you try to go back, it's not going to be a good time. But the thing is, why would you try to go back? What's your reason for going carnivore? This isn't a game. This is about your actual good health. So I want everybody to really take your time and think through where you are and what you're trying to accomplish. Rant complete. Let's get back to what I was talking about. I want us to understand that the issue isn't always the carb count. Often it's how frequently we're eating. The problem is that every time I eat, my insulin is going to rise. On a standard diet, sometimes we're eating 8 times a day. But then, we find out about keto and we go to 3 times a day, no snacks. If we're following the instructions that we got from doctors like, for example, Westman, Berg, Barry, Ekberg, right? That Sung, you're trying your best to understand that every time you eat, your carb count will go up, because every time you eat on a keto diet, you're bringing in carbohydrates. Remember, the amount of carbohydrates that your body actually needs is none. And if you didn't know that, yeah, because your body actually makes all the carbohydrates that you need. You never need to eat any. When you eat them, you're eating for entertainment. And I don't encourage that, but people do it. I used to do it. So I understand why you do it. Unnecessary. So every time you eat and you bring in carbohydrates, insulin also rises. Well, it's going to spike, actually. And what I learned from Dr. Ekberg specifically is that when your insulin is spiking all the time, sometimes it gets to a point where by the time you go to bed and wake up the next morning, it is still higher than what your baseline originally was. So you're starting your next day too much insulin already in your body. That is a problem that ends up leaving you now at that new day. Your insulin is high, and that just keeps compounding over time the more that we're eating carbohydrates. So part of the reason that happens is that when we eat food, the insulin in our body goes up to manage the food we've just eaten, but it tapers down. And usually we will eat again before it gets back to baseline. So now that's additive. So you get to the end of the day, right? And of course, like I just said, Dr. Ekberg pointed out, if you are unable to get back to baseline before you wake up the next morning, you're starting now above. So your baseline has just shifted to a new higher baseline. This is important for you to understand, because what we want is to eat fewer meals, not more. There's something in the diet culture where they tell you, in order to manage your hunger, instead of having 1 or 2 or 3 huge meals, have 8 little meals, right? And and because they work on calories, this pretend fairy idea that our body doesn't understand at all, they want you to think that by eating these small meals and you're only getting, 100 calories there and 200 calories there and 30 calories there, that you're actually not going to gain weight. But people who do that gain weight. Because why? 100 calories is typically a granola bar, which is all carbohydrate, or some fruit, which is all carbohydrate. Because the people that are doing these diets are also afraid of animal protein. And so therefore, they end up having multiple high insulin spikes throughout the course of their day. So this is a bad idea, and I really just don't encourage anyone to do it, because you are actually rushing yourself towards a diabetic scenario. And what we don't understand is that that kind of eating also often spurs cravings, and now we want to eat all the time. And this is another thing that's happening. We don't get it, that cravings are our dependency begging us to give it a fix, right? Go get me some cookies, or go get me some ice cream. But the thing is, we end up wanting to eat those things, but we don't see that that's part of our dependency on these high sugar foods. That urge that I had to eat chocolate wasn't because I loved chocolate. It was because I was out of control. This is not about hunger. It's about dopamine hits. It's about my blood sugar being low. It's about a bunch of stuff that pushes me to eat the wrong thing, but is also causing my weight to rise. And this brings me back to that whole, ladies, we are marketed to that ice cream and chocolate are a great way to just help us to feel good. And we don't realize that part of the reason we don't feel good is because our hormones are all over the place. Our hormones are supposed to be balanced. So there's this thing called homeostasis that we all have, men and women. And our hormones are kept in a homeostatic space by our bodies. Now, when we turn a certain age, we go through menopause. And so because our ovaries are no longer producing the estrogen and progesterone the way that they were before, but our insulin is still working overtime, a problem happens. In a healthy body, that hormone balance is good. And if you started keto or carnivore before you went into that phase and you lost weight, you'll be eating a certain way, right? So you'll have figured it all out, and you'll be doing amazing, and you'll be going forward. And then all of a sudden you get to menopause and you're gaining weight. Or maybe you started this and you weren't quite at goal weight yet, and you hit menopause and now you're in a stall that doesn't seem to go away. Either one of these scenarios, we are told, oh, it's because you need to add back carbs for your body to do well. Wellness warrior, please do not fall for this. That's such a big lie. How is it possible that the carbohydrates that were causing my weight to skyrocket when I become menopausal all of a sudden are magically needed for me to be at a healthy weight? It doesn't make biological sense. If you look at any other animal, their way of eating does not change because they hit a certain age. It doesn't happen. Why would it happen for us? What's really happening is that your sex hormones naturally lower over when you get to a certain age. But the thing is, typically what would have happened there is that your sex hormone would have lowered, and then your insulin would have naturally matched it and got recalibrated, and everything would have been fine if you were eating a healthy diet. The problem is we do not eat a healthy diet. On your healthy keto way of eating, you go into your new hormonal stage where you are in menopause, which means that your estrogen and progesterone come down. Insulin is trying to come down and match it and regulate. But now, because you were eating a certain amount of carbohydrate, so that 20 grams, wherever your number actually fell, you're eating around that number every day on repeat, because this is how you got to this place, not taking into consideration that if my hormones, so my progesterone and estrogen, are lowering, then my body would want to be readjusting all of the hormones to match what's going on here. But I'm eating the same amount of carbohydrate, keeping my insulin a little higher than it should be. The stall is happening because there's a conflict. We keep spiking. Yeah, we're spiking it now because this becomes too much carbohydrate for the current stage you are in. We are spiking our insulin. We need to let our body settle into this new way of being. And that means that we are going to listen to our body. First of all, I think there's a lot of us who still eat by the clock. And if I'm doing that, I'm bringing in food when my body hasn't asked me for any. And then the other thing that I really think we need to learn to do is eat protein to carbohydrate if we are keto. Because if I eat carbohydrate to protein, I'm going to finish that carb on my plate before I get through that meat. And when my body signals me, hey, you've had enough, more of the carbohydrate would have come in than had I eaten protein to carb. You need to readjust what you're doing and do things in a way that makes sense. The solution is to change the inputs that your body is getting, right? If it's not getting a bunch of carbohydrates, it's not going to be reacting. And that means that your hormones will be able to reach that homeostatic state and return to that balance, and your weight will remain proper because a healthy body regulates its weight. We have to stop torturing ourselves and trying to, exercise our way out of the bad foods that we're eating. Because what's happening is that we keep forcing our body to run on empty, right? And if my body's running on empty and it's saving all that fat because, oh my gosh, when am I going to be able to bring some more fat in, right? That whole bank account idea. You're not allowing your body to tap into the fat that you're walking around with every single day. And your body is constantly sending you out to get more food. That hunger that you feel is real, right? It's like punching you in the face with hunger because it wants protein with the accompanying fat. It wants you to give it something that allows it to feel satiated. And the only way you're going to get yourself back to a good place with your body so that you can get back into weight loss is by getting to a good place with your food. I really want you guys to look at the way you're making your plate and move away from this idea that I need to eat the least amount possible so I can force myself to lose weight. No, I want you to focus on eating to satiation if you're doing keto. And what that means is that I'm not full, but I'm not hungry either. I'm eating to a place where I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And if you're doing carnivore, eat till you're comfortably full. This is not where I'm aching to get up. It's just comfortable, but full comfortable, kind of like Thanksgiving if you were reasonable at Thanksgiving. When you eat enough nutrient dense food, like that's meat with the accompanying fat, your body is going to get all the chemical messages that it needs, that it's able to start rebuilding you. So back to taking care of the internal organs. The brain is an internal organ. You want it taking care of your brain. And it's going to be able to start you back on track with good health. And of course, like we said, that good health, when you're healthy, your body's going to be able to regulate you. Your weight is going to get where it's supposed to be. Those stalls where you know that you've only eaten safe foods, where you haven't eaten like there was no processed foods in them. It was really like vegetables and maybe a little bit of fruit. We need to understand that even though our standard American diet world or standard Canadian diet world tells us that these are healthy too, for your body, if you have removed them for some reason and you haven't been eating them, you've allowed your body to get to a place where it's not looking for them anymore. And if you bring them back, your body will react. So lowering our insulin by not bringing back things into our diet that trigger us, and that includes seed oils, by the way. If you were good about taking the seed oils out, and then for some reason, maybe you're on vacation and you can't control what's happening, and you see yourself in a stall, chances are very good that you might just be in the spot where the seed oils are coming in, and there's nothing we can do but try to get through this period of time until we can get back to a place where we're eating the healthy oils and eliminating those seed oils. But it's recognizing that that's what's happening so that you're not driving yourself crazy and you don't end up giving up on the diet. Meat, fish, poultry, eggs with salt, that's real food. If you eat that, you know that you're giving your body what it needs to do to heal you. You also know that you're not going to cause insulin spikes. If you happen to be doing keto, keep the carbs at the low space or a little bit lower if you went into menopause. to help yourself to restabilize and keep yourself in a good place and allow your body the time it takes to repair. Oh my goodness, like we should be happy that our body can get us to a healthy place without medication, without any other intervention, that our body, if we just give it the right stuff, will get us to the healthiest possible spot it can get us to as quickly as it can get us there, with the benefit of good muscle and tighten up skin and all the good skin, like mental clarity. Be happy that your body still has the ability to help you out, and you don't need to take something to get that to happen. Fat isn't just fuel. It's the construction material of your body. You need it. Every cell of your body is made from a fat layer, a bilayer actually. There's two layers that like it helps. Our body's so complicated. It's just like your hormones are made from cholesterol and lipids, and our body is so complicated. The stall that you're living, that sign that your body, well, it's likely a sign that your body is shifting its priorities from weight loss to deep repair, and we should all be there for it. We should be excited by it. It's using the fat you eat to rebuild the cells, and yeah, you're not losing right now. It's making hormones. You're not losing right now. I want you to lean into that. Restricting fat is a bad idea. I'm not saying overeat it, but I'm saying restricting it because you're doing that standard American diet thing, that's a bad idea. If we eat the right amount, we're ensuring that there's a high quality animal fat coming in to support this repair process, because we're going to do the thing that our body wants us to do so that this healthy body is going to be able to regulate its weight. We really need to stop obsessing over the scale, because the scale measures everything. If I'm wearing clothes, I'm going to weigh more. If I have a huge bowel movement in me, I'm going to weigh more. And after having it, I would weigh how many pounds less. The truth of the matter is, it weighs everything. It's not telling you about the healthy stuff going on, right? What tells you about the healthy stuff is those non-scale victories. Like when not having tinnitus, Wellness Warrior, is the happiest thing. I had tinnitus for like 20, more than like 30 some odd years, 40, like it was crazy how many years I had tinnitus. I remember being in high school when that tinnitus started it's gone. And I'm not even sure when it went away, because you don't even notice these things until I put headphones in, like in-ear headphones, and realized I didn't hear the noise. My skin is better. Everything is, pay attention to the non-scale victories, because those are the signs that not only is the repair happening, that your hormones are regulating and balancing, that you have energy, and it's telling you that the goal is being accomplished. Because the true goal, Wellness Warrior, is to have that healthy body so it can regulate your weight. And I will say that, and I will say that because it's what it's supposed to be. If your body is healthy, your weight is going to be spot on, because your body knows what you're supposed to weigh. Your doctor might tell you a certain number, but your body knows what it's supposed to weigh. Now, if you're ready to get healthy and lose weight, this is the video to watch next. Click on the link. I'll meet you over there.